Welcome to Life School, Series 2, Bumps and Babies. As I record this today, I am currently 23 weeks and 4 days pregnant with my first baby, which I'm so excited to share I now know is a little girl. I'm still in the process of recording this series, and my plan was to start releasing episodes once I'd finished recording with all my wonderful guests. However, in light of the current global situation with coronavirus, recording for now is on hold. So I've decided to share with you the episodes I've recorded so far over the past couple of months. I know many of us are currently self-isolating at home with lots of time on our hands, so what better time to listen to your favourite podcasts or perhaps discover some new ones. As a first-time mum, pregnancy, birth and babies is a whole new world for me, and I personally want to educate myself as much as I can before my little one arrives. From positive birth stories, information on hypnobirthing, water births, C-sections, baby massage and more, I hope throughout this series I can shed some light on just some of the areas you may be worried about, or even just intrigued about. Thank you to all the incredible birth workers and women who have made this series possible so far, and thank you so much for listening. My guest for this episode is Nicky Langley, an experienced doula, hypnobirthing teacher and breastfeeding counsellor who has been living in Dubai for 15 years. Nicky is passionate about supporting women and families from bump to baby and beyond. I'm really hoping Nicky will be able to be my doula when the time comes. So, without further ado, here's my conversation with the lovely Nicky. Happy listening! Nicky, welcome to Life School.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with me today. You're on call.
I am.
As
so watching my
speak. So if we do need to stop and record a part 2, our listeners will know why.
Great.
And if there's any interference with your mobile, we need to keep it on because there is a lady.
I do. She's in labour,
potentially
in labour
today.
right now. So early days, but hopefully things are going to happen today.
This is all part of the job. This is what we're going to be speaking
Welcome
about.
to the life of a doula.
So before we talk about your life as a doula, can we start by talking about your pregnancy and birth experiences?
Okay.
You have 3 children, right?
I have 4.
4, sorry.
4 children, ranging from 28 to 19. So although some years ago they're all, I can remember them all pretty well. So my first 2 sons were born at 35 weeks, which in those days was quite significant. These days 35 weeks isn't considered to be hugely premature, but they were both fine, both now 6-foot men, but it was obviously worrying at the time. And then I went on to have my 3rd daughter, who's now a midwife, funnily enough.
Amazing. You said she works in Australia?
She works in Sydney, yeah. And had a beautiful natural birth with her. And then my 4th son, again, beautiful natural birth. So I kind of got more confident as I went along. And I was very young. I was only 23 when I had my first son.
Wow.
So even though I thought I knew quite a lot, I'd done a lot of reading, I really didn't.
You weren't a doula at this time, were you?
Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
No,
Doing something
not
completely
at all.
different.
Yeah, I was working in a hospital in medical administration.
Okay, so kind of related, slightly.
It is, but I'd always kind of wanted to be a doula, a midwife. And it was actually when I was in my 30s, so we're talking 20 odd years ago now, I actually got a place at university to go and study to be a midwife in the UK. And then I fell pregnant with my 4th child, so it didn't happen. And
your course of life changed.
Yeah, it did. It certainly did. But I was very lucky that I could be a home mum. I stayed at home with my kids most of the time. I did work. I did temping and things like that. But it was always something in the back of my mind that I wanted to work in that field. And it wasn't really until we were looking into my daughter applying to university to become a midwife that we discovered the role of a doula. And that's when I thought, gosh, this is it.
So up until that point, you hadn't actually heard of a
doula?
No,
I'd never heard of a doula. Really, it's not, especially when I was in the UK, it wasn't really something that people had. Not a defined role as a doula. There were people that actually fulfilled that role, but didn't have the name, the label doula. If I'd known before, it's definitely something I'd have done before.
And just going back to your pregnancies, were they all very different?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Completely different labours, completely different pregnancies, and that's something that I instill in all of my mums, that, you know, just because you've had one kind of birth first time round, it might be completely different. There's so many factors contributing to how your labour is and how your pregnancy is. So no, all of mine were pretty smooth, really. I was very sick with all my boys, but not with my girl.
But isn't the old wives' tale that girls make you sicker?
Yeah, which just shows, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
there's so many of those.
No, it was all of them were lovely. You know, I'm not very big. My final last two, actually, I went to 38, 39 weeks of both of those two. So yeah, all very good.
So your last two weren't as early.
No,
as the first
they were
two.
considered to be full term.
Yeah,
and were obviously full term for me. As I say, because I'm not very big, and my daughter, who was my biggest baby, was 6 pounds.
Oh, so your girl was the biggest baby.
Yeah, which the boys tease her about.
And how tall did she turn out? Because you said your boys are really tall.
Well, so they're 6 foot, almost 6 foot, both of them. My daughter's taller than me, but that's not that difficult. I think she's about 5'4" or 5 now.
Oh, okay, a little bit taller than me.
Yeah,
I'm like 5'2".
Yeah.
Okay, so you discovered when you were searching for your daughter about doulaship and what doulas are. So was it quite an instant thing?
Absolutely. It was actually, my niece, who's a consultant anaesthetist, spent a day talking to us and talking to my daughter about birth and midwifery and obstetrics. And it was her that suddenly said, "Oh my God, Nicky, this is it. This is what you should be doing." And I literally went straight home and went online and started looking at it. We then later met up with a midwife here in Dubai to talk to my daughter, and she emphasised again, you know, what an amazing job it was, and possibly for me to look into it. So at that point I decided, right, so I signed up there and then.
And this
committed.
was in Dubai?
It was when I was in Dubai.
Okay, and how many years ago was this?
I think it's 7 or 8 years ago now, yeah.
And so how do you get into this?
Well, now actually there are far more options available. But I actually trained with a company called Mother and Baby International, and all my training was online when we had webinars, web seminars. The instructor was in Canada, I was in Dubai, there was somebody in the US, somebody in Germany, somebody in Australia. So we'd have webinars in the middle of the night often. Yeah. But that took me about a year to complete, and it was quite an in-depth course. We had seminars most week, we had a lot of written work, a lot of reading to do. And then once that had finished, I had case studies to undertake, where I actually had to have clients.
This is in your phone, is it, Nicky?
It's fine, it's just Bixby.
Oh,
Thinks
okay.
it knows something. It doesn't.
I thought you were getting a call then.
No, it's not. Once I'd completed all the studying, so then it was actually getting clients, which is obviously quite a difficult thing to do when you're new, you don't have any experience. So, you know, I think I had to do 4 clients before I could become certified. Then I became certified, and certified also with nurturing birth. And since then I've gone on and done further training with Doulas of North America and several other courses as well. But it's addictive. So once you start off, I then went on to learn about infant feeding. I became a certified breastfeeding counsellor, and I'm also a hypnobirthing teacher.
And so when you went on that first job, was that the first time you had witnessed someone else's birth in real life? Absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. And even though I'd had good experiences myself, it was daunting to be in a different role, obviously, and you know, as a doula we have very defined roles. You know, we don't advise, we're purely support, and it's quite difficult to navigate that role, and it was really quite scary for the first time, but just amazing.
Were you quite nervous?
I was really nervous. I was nervous that I was going to say and do the right things, and that I was going to help them make the right calls at the right time. But it was a textbook first birth, and it was lovely. It was wonderful.
Oh,
baby Gabriella. Yeah, I shall never forget it.
Oh
no, I stay in touch with all of my clients, literally.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I go to birthday parties and all kinds of things. So
I guess you become sort of an integral part of
it's hard
that
not to
experience for the couple.
Absolutely. It's always my intention to try and get to know couples quite well beforehand, because you're going to be sharing on the most intimate and special moments of their lives. So I really try, and we meet up and we chat, not just about the birth, but just life in general. And then, you know, obviously to be there for the birth of a child is quite significant. So, you know, we keep in touch for, you know, I'm still in touch with my first mum, who's now
That's
a doula
amazing.
and hypnobirthing teacher, funnily enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hopefully you inspired her with that.
There are, I think, 2 or 3 of my clients have gone on to be doulas.
I have to say, I am feeling a draw towards something in this area.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is yet. I'm still so early on in my journey, but I can see how
it's
this
wonderful.
could
It's
be
been
one of
life-changing
the
for
most
me.
incredible roles. So for people that don't maybe know what a doula is, can you explain what is the role of a
Okay, so
doula?
it actually, the word derives from the Greek language. It means female slave. And, you know, we're emotional support for mums and dads. You know, I kind of liken myself to be a birth translator for dads, you know, helping them understand what's happening along the way. As I say, we have very defined roles. We don't give medical advice. We work as a team with the rest of the medical team. But really, you know, having for a mum and dad to know that they've got one person that's going to be with them throughout, because obviously midwives are going to come and go, they can have different shift changes and things like that. And even your doctor isn't going to be there with you throughout, but to have a consistent, you know, person that's going to be with you throughout. And also I keep in touch with my mums and dads throughout their pregnancy, and then I have a 2-week on-call period where I'm ready to jump in a car day or night. I advise over the phone and you know, and help them decide a right time for them to go to hospital, and you know, because with a lot of new mums or first-time mums for sure, they go racing off to hospital at the sign of the first contraction, first surge. And you know, it really is beneficial in most cases to stay at home as long as possible and relax. So, as with my mum today, I've been in touch since 6 o'clock this morning. And she's updating me regularly, and then hopefully later on today we'll decide whether I'm going to go and meet her at their house. I stay with them for a while, or meet them at hospital. I then stay throughout the birth, however long or short that may be, and really, you know, doing things, anything from ordering pizza for dads generally, not the mums. To some you know, some nice light touch massage, some hip squeezing, or you know, I've been to births where I've literally not said a word and not touched a mum. It's just having a constant presence, and then you know, keeping them going, cheerleading a little bit, and helping them through the long process, which it can be.
And so, if people want to work with you as a doula, what does that look like? So you meet them how many months before usually?
Quite honestly, it changes from person to person. You know, I've met people as early as 10 weeks pregnant, up until 40 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
Most people tend to decide on hiring a doula around, you know, the 28 something weeks, or maybe even before. You know, it's nice to have that time to build up a relationship.
Yeah.
But you know, I also teach hypnobirthing, so what is really nice to do is where I combine the two, where I do private classes, private hypnobirthing classes, and then I can go to people's homes, and that gives us an opportunity to talk to them about, you know, the way that they want their birth to go, and you know, help them, you know, make decisions, help them manage expectations and all of that.
And when did you start in hypnobirthing?
I started that 3 years ago. So I trained with the WISE Hypnobirthing Programme, which is a British hypnobirthing programme. And I started off quite slowly, taking the odd class. And then for a year or so, I took group classes at Alzara Hospital. But quite honestly, group classes aren't for me. I like the intimacy. I like to meet people and sit and talk face to face. So I now just take private classes where I go to people's homes at times that suit them.
Wow. And how long, if you want to do a hypnobirthing course with you, how long does that entail?
Well, my specific course is 4 classes each of 2.5 hours, and I go to people's homes at times that suit them, so weekends and evenings. And ideally, it's good to get it done over a 4-week period, and really to start around the 28-30 week mark is a good time to do it, because that gives you plenty of opportunity to get into it and to, you know, to practice, because practice is really important.
Yeah.
You've actually got to know how to use the techniques and to use them on the day. So saying that, I have taught people at 39 weeks.
Wow.
And was then their doula, and this mum actually went on to have a beautiful breech hypnobirth a few weeks ago.
Wow.
So,
that was
amazing.
Natural breech?
A natural vaginal breech birth, yeah.
I didn't know you could do that here.
It's very unusual.
Yeah.
It's very unusual, but I was lucky enough to be there, and this mum, she had no pain relief. She laboured in, I think it was a total of about 5 hours. So, and
that's
absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And to watch her do that using hypnobirthing techniques, and one of the main benefits of hypnobirthing is that you arrive at labour feeling confident, positive, knowing that you've got tools to help you get through it.
Yeah. And so for people that don't know about hypnobirthing, can you explain a little bit about what
that
is?
I mean, the word hypnobirthing terrifies people. People have a strange ideas about what hypnosis is. Actually, it's a very kind of shallow form of hypnosis. Really, you're retraining your brain not to be frightened of birth. It really revolves around breathing techniques and relaxation techniques and distraction. It's a distraction because you're thinking so hard about breathing efficiently, so that your uterus can work properly and that your baby has oxygen, that it's taking you away, it's distracting you away from thinking about what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful in its complete antenatal course in itself, and what a lot of people worry that hypnobirthing classes actually paint birth to be a picnic. And right from the onset, I tell my mums that's not the case.
Hypnobirthing does not mean that you're going to have a
pain-free birth. No, and there are a lot of misconceptions. There's been a lot of talk in the UK press over the past few weeks because the Duchess of Cambridge actually admitted that she actually stated that she'd been using hypnobirthing techniques.
All 3 of her births.
Yeah, which is great.
And through her pregnancy, because she had such
bad
sickness.
morning sickness.
Yeah.
Well, not just morning sickness, hyper, but. So it's and a lot of people, and a lot of obstetricians worry about the techniques that we teach our mums. Because we teach mum, we don't teach forced pushing. You breathe your baby. That works a lot of the time, but also there are occasions where mums do have to push.
I think it's about just having tools in your
absolutely.
toolbox, isn't it? That you can then go to as and when you need them.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that you're going to have this smooth, natural.
No, and that's something I really emphasise with all of my mums, because I don't want them, to feel that I'm sugarcoating anything.
Yeah.
Even though birth can be a wonderful experience, and I see many amazing births. I really, really do. And what I do see, a lot of the time it is mums that feel good about their birth, and that's what we want. That the motto of the Wise Hippo that I teach is the right birth on the day.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to work towards, is having that positive attitude that whatever happens, I'm part of it, I feel informed, so that however my baby comes into the world, I feel really happy that I was part of that and I was aware, and it didn't just happen.
Even it might not be your dream birth.
Exactly.
I've actually had 2 really lovely messages from mums out of the blue this week. One mum ended up having a caesarean section, but her baby is now 8 months. She's going back to work this week, and she said, I've finally had time to sit and reflect on it, and I can say with absolute honesty that it was a great experience for me. I didn't feel frightened. I felt, okay, this is happening for a reason, and I look back now and feel that I was part of the decision-making process, and it was a good experience, which was wonderful. And then a second mum who had she did have quite a difficult first birth. Her baby was premature. She's now moved to Australia, is pregnant again, and went to see her midwife there, who asked her about her first birth, and she wrote down traumatic birth on my mum's notes. And she said, absolutely not. I want you to take that off, because it was not a traumatic birth in the slightest. I felt in control. I understood what was happening. She actually had a beautiful natural birth, but obviously because baby was early, she was a little bit anxious. But she said, I didn't want anybody to say I had a traumatic birth.
Yeah,
I absolutely
that's not how
didn't.
she felt about it.
And that those messages came out of nowhere.
That's
and
amazing.
it was really heartwarming, and that's, I think, what all of us doulas and hypnobirthing teachers want is that mums can look back on their birth knowing that it was the right thing on the day.
Yeah.
And say that they felt part of it. We want mums to feel informed, so that they don't feel that things have been taken out of their control.
Exactly, and I think for me, I just want to feel like I've been part of every step, rather than, because sometimes I hear from ladies that it sort of happened to them. They felt quite rushed into a decision, and it all just happened, and then before they knew it, something was going on. and then afterwards that can be quite damaging because you can feel like a failure, you can feel traumatized.
Absolutely, and all these things can then build on to to lead towards postnatal depression.
Exactly.
So feeling good about it, and absolutely, hypnobirthing. And I know you're all going to be doing hypnobirthing, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. It prepares you and makes you positive and confident. And actually going into labour feeling that way is so incredible. Yeah. It really is. So you might not have the birth of your dreams, but hopefully you'll have a good experience.
Exactly. And for me, I mean, I'd heard of hypnobirthing, but I didn't know much about it. But I thought, if anything's going to help me feel calm and positive, I'll do it. That's all I want.
Absolutely, because one of the first things that women lose control of often when they're in labour, and I'm talking about women that haven't done any form of hypnobirthing or breathing training, is that they lose control of that breathing. And if you lose control of the breathing, that can lead you to feel out of control, and then things can snowball.
And then we're not releasing oxytocin.
We're not releasing oxytocin. We're not. Your uterus hasn't got the oxygen that it needs to work properly, so it's struggling. And all of these things, as I say, snowball. And then often these mums, they don't have a great experience. But the beauty with anybody doing any form of hypnobirthing or breathing training is that it teaches them how to take control of that breathing right from the start. And that's, I think, one of the number one things. Absolutely.
And I think that from the minute you're pregnant, people like to kind of give you horror stories.
Yeah.
And I've really tried to focus on watching positive births on YouTube and reading about positive births. Definitely. Because it is scary.
It's scary, and these
I am
things.
Quite scared.
Of course you
are.
So
it's like, okay, I know people are not always doing it to scare you. They're just giving their personal
They don't realise the effect it has.
But I think anything that can help you just stay in control and calm and go back to basics and realise.
And that's exactly what it's doing. It's what it's doing, because we do know that when we're frightened, the hormones that we make when we're frightened stop the hormones that we want present during labour. Adrenaline stops the process of oxytocin production, and oxytocin is what we need for labour to progress. So this is a fact. This isn't weird hypnobirthing stuff.
No, not at all.
This is actually true.
I think it's very practical.
It's very, and it makes utter sense. It's our animal instincts kicking in here, fight or flight responses.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. So I wish I'd known about it before. Even though I do think I probably devised my own techniques.
Yeah, I think also it comes with a little bit of personality, doesn't it? Because my mum didn't know what hypnobirthing was when she had me or my brother, but her natural personality is quite pragmatic. She's quite logical. So she already had that, well, we're built to do this.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it. So that's her sort of natural predisposition, if you like. Whereas some people, that's just not their personality.
No.
So,
and we become much more vulnerable when we're pregnant. As a pregnant woman, I'm sure your ears prick up at the sound of anything to do with pregnancy or labour or babies or birth.
Obsessed.
And we store all, especially the negative stuff, we store in our subconscious, and then believe that we're incredibly vulnerable to negativity. So as I say, we're not promising it's going to be a perfect birth, but to get to that point, feeling positive is really, really good. And being open-minded, that's another big thing that as doulas we like. We want our mums to be open-minded. We don't want them to go in saying this is the way it's going to be, because that's not the way that birth is. Birth can take lots of twists and turns.
Yeah, at any point.
At any point. So, to be informed, to know what your choices are, to know what decisions you may have to make. I sit down with my mums and dads and go through their birth plans, or as we prefer to call them, birth preferences, and look at, as I say, what their choices are, and if they do have to make any decisions on the day, then hopefully they'll have thought about these things beforehand.
And obviously, without naming names, but are there any particular births that really stand out for you?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, the vaginal breech birth that I attended last week, I mean, I'm incredibly lucky, and I don't suppose many doulas get that opportunity. And it was amazing. I was, yet again, I'm blown away every birth by just the sheer power of women and strength of women. But I cry at every birth as well. It's pathetic, but no, it's there are a few. There are a few, and obviously, you know, as in any job, you make really good connections with some people, and I've definitely got, you know, some favourites along the way, and I've actually got 3 mums this summer who I'm going to be doulaing for a second time.
Oh wow!
Which is really special.
Yeah, that must be so special.
It's really special, yeah, and nice that they've asked me again as well. But yeah, so I'm very excited about that.
And of course, they'll be completely different to the first.
Yeah,
most likely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it'll be a whole new experience for you as well the second time round, but with the same mum, which is
same mum and dad, which is nice because, you know, I do know them all quite well now, so, you know,
and
I know.
They're little ones as well.
Yeah, in fact, I've been to 3 of their birthday parties this year.
Oh.
So
it's honestly, it just sounds like such a dreamy job.
Oh, it is. I pinch myself,
and it's got
actually.
so much purpose, and you're just helping.
Yeah,
so many women.
You know, I literally I say work in inverted commas because it doesn't feel like work. You know, I come home, I'm always on a massive high after a birth, and there's, you know, it's a real thing. This doula oxytocin high.
Yeah, I
tend not to be able to sleep and go through everything, and you know, I'm reliving it.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have the birth and you're on this massive high, but then you also the 2 weeks before kind of in this state of limbo, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you can't really, you know, you have to adapt your lifestyle slightly because you need to be on call at any time of the day, don't you? How do you sleep during those 2 weeks?
Well, I do, but you know, my phone it's like having a baby. I'm tuned into it. So I ask my mums and dads. So we tend to set up a WhatsApp group with mum and dad and myself, so that he can communicate with me as well. And you know, I check my phone every few minutes, but I ask them to call me, or to message me rather, if they think anything is happening, anything's changing. But if anything significant is happening, to call me, because in the middle of the night.
Yeah. That will wake you up.
It will wake me. No, and it does.
Yeah.
And it often does happen in the middle of the night. But I want my mums and dads to feel comfortable to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's often the case.
Yeah, it does always seem like it happens in the middle of the night. Or
I mean, there are lots of physical reasons for that.
It seems. So, why is that? Is there an actual?
Well, I mean,
sort of
firstly, you're relaxed and calm, but all the right hormones are flowing as well. And that's you know, labour works with the right hormone cocktail. And the right hormones are in place often at night. Yeah,
because you do often hear about ladies that sort of started at 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah.
That seems quite
bright
common.
Bright lights are another factor that stop the production of oxytocin and melatonin, which is another important hormone in labour. So obviously those hormones tend to be higher at night.
Yeah.
So plus being relaxed and calm. You know, look at animals. What do they do? They go and find a nice dark area to give birth in.
Yeah, nice.
And that's what we should
cozy
do. Cozy
corner, dark cozy corner.
Yeah, and obviously, so a lot of women will say, I was labouring really well at home and things, and then we went to hospital and everything stopped. And that often is because of, you know, the fact that the adrenaline is interfering with
the environment.
Yeah.
I went to see, because I'm with Alzara Hospital, and I went to have a tour a few weeks ago, and I was shown around the whole maternity ward, but I was really interested in seeing the water birth room.
It's lovely, yeah.
Wow.
I've been to lots of births in that room.
The lighting in there is just, I was like, okay, this is how I would want it.
It's where I would want it to.
Even if I'm not able to get in the pool, that room, because there's obviously a separate room with a bed as well.
Room 4.
Is that the number of the room 4? It is just incredible.
Yeah, it is, and you can just see couples relaxing when they get in there. There's a projector on the ceiling, and in the water room you can change the colours of the water in the bath and all kinds of things.
It is so beautiful. I can't wait for Rami to see. He couldn't do the tour with me that day, but we'll do it closer to the time. I took pictures and videos obviously, and it's like a spa. It
is and it's a really lovely environment.
So you've done quite a few water births.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is. It's really amazing. I mean, it's still, you know, it's something in its infancy here in Dubai, but massive progress has been made.
So you, in your sort of 8 years of doing this, when did the water birth sort of start? Because they're so new here, aren't they?
I think it's 3 or 4 years. I can't say for certain. But we had a lady called Barbara Harper, who's one of the pioneers of water birth. She came over from the States. And I was very lucky to attend along with some other doulas and midwives and obstetricians at Alzara, a training course over 2 days, which was just incredible to hear it from the horse's mouth, you know.
I've listened to a podcast with her, with the Belly Baby Mum.
Yeah, with Shireen.
And with Shireen, and she's, wow.
She's incredible, and she actually came over a few months ago and did the same again. So I think people are quite excited about it now, and there's more experience. There are more doctors, I think, who are confident in it, and more midwives who are confident in it. But you know, it's certainly something that mums should, you know, unless of course there are any medical reasons why they can't. You know, it's a lovely thing to consider at least.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that room, I just thought, why doesn't everyone want to have their baby in this room?
The thing is, you can get in the water. If you don't like it, you can get out. Nobody's going to force you to stay in, but it's certainly something. It's something to add to your list of tools for labour.
Yeah, I know, it's definitely something that I would love
as we
to
said,
work
it's just a really, really nice environment.
Yeah, it's just so relaxing. You immediately feel relaxed. Actually, doing that tour, I was so excited about giving birth after that day. Yeah. I felt really excited. That's lovely, and that's all part of it, you know, building your confidence and positivity. I mean, I've gone back to feeling a bit scared, but a couple of days after that, I was on such a high. I was like, oh, I'm ready now. I want to have my baby now.
But it's going to be like that. But you're going to start your hypnobirthing classes and things. And that's going to
in April.
That's going to be really amazing for you. Jasmine's fantastic, and it's going to, you know, really get you prepared, and you'll be excited and positive. And
you know, I can't wait for this next step. Okay, I want to debunk some myths, some pregnancy and birth myths, because again, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you start to hear all of these sort of old wives' tales, and some of them aren't even old wives' tales. They're things that people genuinely believe. So what are some of the most common ones that you hear that just are simply not true? Oh gosh, I don't know where to start, really. Are there that many? There are that many, and also one of the problems I see here because I've had clients from all over the world, and there are so many different myths and traditions that come from different cultures, and that's really quite interesting sometimes. But as we said earlier on, the sickness with girls and boys. Yeah. Food cravings, there are so many. I don't really know where to start, but I think there are very few that are actually, we can say for sure, there are other, traditions and ideas about ways of getting labour started. Yes. The one sure one is sex. So that does actually work? Yeah, for good scientific reasons. We have an oxytocin surge, and we get prostaglandins, which we need to help soften the cervix. So that isn't. But other things like dates, which are used a lot in Arabic traditions. What I say to people is, try them. Raspberry leaf tea, really popular. Castor oil. I had a doctor tell a mum of mine this week to take castor oil. I hear other people saying not to. You're going to find counter arguments about everything. And another thing that a lot of people use when they're hoping to go into labour is clary sage oil, and we don't really know why this happens, but it does tend to stimulate the uterus to contract. And so that's a good thing to use in the week or so, leading up to going into labour, and during labour to keep those surges nice and strong and regular as well. These things work with some people, they don't with others, and the fact is that people who are trying these things tend to be trying everything. Yeah. So we're really not sure. We're really not sure what works, but what I say to people is, try it. All of these natural nudges, as we call them, they're not going to do any harm. But if it makes you feel like you're doing something, to feel that you have some kind of power is quite nice. Yeah. So, and I suppose for ladies that have gone so far and are just so ready for their baby, it's tough. I'm warning you now. The last few weeks are really tough, because every morning you're going to wake up and think, "Oh, today's the day." It's really tough, and when you're having
an induction possibly, waved in front of you, which you're hopefully going to want to avoid, then you're going to try as much as you can.
So I had an appointment yesterday and I was asking the doctor about, because I really struggle with fizzy drinks. It's my one vice that I'm really struggling to give up. My appetite hasn't changed. I'm not overeating. I'm not being greedy or indulgent just because I'm pregnant, but I do like a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola. It's like my sort of treat, except it's not a treat because I have it every day. And I was asking the doctor about this and she just said, look, do your best to not have it. And she gave me a few alternatives, and I will be doing a test for gestational diabetes. And she said, if you do have it, then we will have to induce you. And I'm too early to sort of question because I haven't even had the test yet, but I did start to think, well, is that something I can push back on? Because if baby's okay,
they do tend to be fairly strict on this one, and going along with UK guidelines as well. But you if indeed, I hope that it's not the case, but if indeed you do find you do have gestational diabetes, it can be diet controlled sometimes. Yeah. So it is something that you can help with your diet and with exercise as well. But different doctors have different ideas and different policies, so it's really something you need to speak to your doctor about. But it is often something that the doctor will look at. Yeah. Again, depending on the severity of your diabetes as well.
Yeah, because also can't it be quite hereditary as well? Because I know some really fit, healthy people that have had it.
Yeah, I see a lot of mums who, would have no. You would look at them and you wouldn't think for a moment they would have any gestational diabetes, and they do. So it's often not the people that you would expect. Yeah. But your diet is very important during labour, during pregnancy, and I have mums who are diet controlled with their diabetes. But I think most doctors, and I think this is fairly standard in the UK as well, would start looking at that. But do your research. Look on evidencebased.com, look on the Cochrane Library, and talk to your doctor about it.
I mean, hopefully I don't have it, and we'll find out. I think, is it 28 weeks you do that test? I think
I'm not 100% sure exactly when it is, something like that.
But obviously I don't want to be induced if I can help it.
I mean, if it's something that you can help control, then it's a pretty good incentive.
Well, I have not had a Pepsi or a Coke since yesterday.
Oh, that's good. Well, perhaps wean yourself, down to one every other day, and then work down from there.
Yeah, because it is full of sugar, and other than that, I don't eat loads of sugar. And it's a habit. It is, and it's a really bad habit, and it's been going on for years. So I need to knock it on the head anyway, but it's difficult. We all have those sort of things that we struggle.
It's all right. It's not me. No.
Oh, it's so
That's reminding me that I'm doing this podcast with you.
How efficient. Nicky, for all the mums to be listening, what would be the top 3 items, classes or services you would recommend they invest in?
Well, obviously I am biased, but I honestly, this is really from my heart now. Hypnobirthing classes, I think are just wonderful. I've seen a lot of mums. I've had mums who've had difficult first birth and then have done hypnobirthing classes and have gone on to have good experiences. Not necessarily the birth that they dreamt of, but good experiences.
But a positive experience.
And that's what we want. We want a safe, healthy mum and baby who feel good, mum and dad that feel good about it. And I've seen a lot of mums, have had that. And to feel happy and excited and positive during your pregnancy. We don't want, we want it to be a nice time, not a time that you're worried and you're soaking up all that negativity, but to be excited about this incredible journey that you're on, and your life's about to change. So I'd really, really suggest, obviously top of the list, hypnobirthing, but any kind of antenatal education, that's going to give you good information and make you feel prepared. Obviously hiring a doula. I've had some amazing feedback from people who and not just mums, dads often as well. Dads who are sometimes a little bit dubious about hiring a doula. I think because they worry that a doula is going to make them feel a bit redundant. But a big part of our job is to include them and to make them feel part of it, and to, you know, to help them along the way, and to, you know, say, explain what's happening, such like. So I've had so many dads that have said thank you so much, and one of my last dads calls me his production manager.
Aww.
Yeah, his birth production manager.
I love that.
And that's the way he saw it. But third thing, I'd look at getting education for breastfeeding as well.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a massive breastfeeding advocate. You know, okay, it's not for everybody, and there are always, you know, people that are going to have hurdles along the way. But, you know, get informed. There are some amazing classes out there. I know Love Parenting do some really great preparation. So get out there, you know, learn, feel confident, and have support. Support is the number one, you know, it's an umbrella for all the things that I've talked about, really. And especially when you're living abroad, you've not necessarily got family around you that would be there to help you during the later stages of pregnancy and then postnatally. You know, that's what so many people want and need. And there is a lot of support here, as you've seen and proved with your podcast.
There's so much.
But a lot of it you have to find. And, you know, the good thing about hiring a doula is that she will have lots of contact and can always put you in touch with people to help out with, you know, whatever scenario that, you know, you need to deal with. So, you know, support, hypnobirthing and doula, they're all really the same kind of thing, but...
I think a lot of ladies just don't realise the amazing services that there are here.
No.
You know, I know people that have kids that are a couple of years old and they're like, oh, I didn't know there was that here in Dubai. And there literally is everything. Like, we're spoilt for choice.
We are, and it's not just for people that want a natural birth, and I want to emphasise that as well. You know, I've supported mums who were going to have, they knew they were going to have an epidural. You know, we're completely non-judgmental. It's not about having no drugs.
And you've done caesarean births as well.
Yeah, I was lucky enough actually to go to one when the dad didn't want to go in, so I went, which was lovely. Yeah, and I support mums through caesarean, so I'm there beforehand to help keep them calm and to explain what's going to happen, and then afterwards to help out with breastfeeding and such like. So it's not just for mums. You know, again, you know, the world tends to believe that anybody that's doing hypnobirthing and hiring doulas is a bit of a hippie that wants, and that's not the way it is. You know, we're there to support anybody in whatever their choices are.
And with the breastfeeding, so you can also support new mums with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well. I'm a breastfeeding counsellor, so I'm kind of the first rung of the ladder. I'm not a lactation consultant, which is far more specialised. But, you know, in a lot of cases, you know, I see a lot of mums that they really just need some support. Yeah. And just somebody to tell them they're doing it right.
Yeah, some moral support.
Some moral support. In those days after birth, when your hormones are flying around and you're exhausted and you're in tears, and just to have somebody to sit with you and to perhaps help you with some different positions or some different latches and things. Most of the time that can really help, but, you know, some people definitely do need referring on to lactation consultants and people like that, and that's something I can definitely do.
But you would almost be like the first sort of point.
And actually, as my role as a doula, I offer that anyway to all of my mums, and I'd help them get latched straight after the birth. But also, I'm there to help mums who aren't breastfeeding for whatever reason. Yeah, you know, it's I say to all of my mums, along with your baby comes a big bag of guilt, and you're going to make it feel guilty about any decisions you make throughout pregnancy, during your labour, whether you're having drugs or not, during, you know, breastfeeding, whether you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding. You know, you feel happy with the decisions that you make, and feel confident, because it's very easy as a mum, and it continues.
I know.
Yeah, I'm telling you, after 28 years.
For me, it's not so much the guilt yet; it's the worry.
Yeah.
And my mum's like, "P, that
never never stops. I worry about my 28-year-old. You know, it never worries. It never ends, and that's our nature.
Yeah, like, you know, I'm 28, and my mum worries about me and my brother every single day, and we still go to her with all our worries and things that are going on in our life. Yeah, and
that's the way it's meant to be.
And it's lovely, but it's that realization of, oh, this is it now. So all these little worries I'm having will just continue.
It's gonna blow up. I tell you, it's gonna get bigger.
More and more intense.
It is, and you know, there's a lot of mum guilt, but you know, I think all mums should feel confident in the decisions that they make. Yeah. And postnatally be aware, you know, you're going to have lots of different people giving you different opinions about feeding, about sleep, about everything. And with 4 children, I have had different advice on all of those things for all of my children.
Yeah.
And really, your instinct as a mum is very, very strong, and you have to be confident enough to follow the path that you... Because again, that's something that can lead you to feel really down after.
Yeah, I'm already noticing this. I think you have to, and it's hard, but you have to build up your confidence so that you're okay with your decision.
Your decisions.
You follow your gut.
Plus, there's a lot more, there's a lot more information available out there, and I've found with a lot of grandmothers that that their opinions and the teaching that they had was so different.
Yeah.
That they see a lot of the the ideas, like for instance, demand feeding and baby-led weaning and all of these things, which we now know are the right way of doing it. But for them, they see that as completely wrong. And I've seen some real issues with
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when it's family members.
It's hard. It's hard. A lot more complicated. And you will feel guilty, and you will feel that people are possibly criticising the way that you're doing things.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, my mum from day one just said, you're going to get so much advice, take it, but use the bits that you want.
Absolutely, yeah. And so feel confident, and your instinct is very, very strong as a mum and a dad.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah, we mustn't forget Dad.
We mustn't forget Daddy. No, Dad's a big. And I have to say that is one of the things that makes me cry the most at a birth, is when I see the dad's reaction. It's just incredible. That's always the thing that turns those tears on for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can't wait to see Rami's reaction. I think, I don't really know how he's going to react. I have an idea, but I don't know how I'm going to react.
No, and it's often the dads that you think are going to be quite kind of stoic on the day. They're often the ones that are the most emotional.
In tears, yeah. Oh no, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm very, very grateful and feel very privileged that I'm able to do this. So,
it's honestly, Nicky, it's such an amazing job that you're doing, and you're helping so many. I don't just want to say women, families. Yeah, and there's an amazing network here now in Dubai. Some fantastic doulas, some wonderful birth educators, hypnobirthing teachers, etc. So use it. Yeah.
Spread the word and use it, because
we're so lucky to have all of this here.
But we work as a team. We work as a team with the family, with the midwives, with the obstetricians. We're not enemies, and I want that to be really, really something I emphasise.
Yeah, you work as a team.
We work as a team, and hopefully, I'd like to hope that the doctors and midwives that I've worked with will agree with that.
Yeah, and they must be getting more used to having doulas in the room.
Yeah, and to have somebody that has been around birth has got to be beneficial, and because the midwives that work hard, they don't have time to spend time sitting chatting and reassuring in the same way. So to have somebody that can do that, and when it works well, it works brilliantly.
And I think a lot of ladies don't realise that your doctor actually tends to only come at the end.
Yeah,
they're not there.
No,
unless maybe there's complications, but and if you're having a cesarean, obviously it's completely different, but they're not there from the beginning.
No,
they come at the end.
And really, the midwives are the ladies that are there throughout.
But then you don't know who you're going to get on the day. It's not guaranteed.
No.
So
which is why it's really nice to have
support.
A doula who is going to be with you throughout. And I think the longest I've been with anybody is about 36 hours, and I think the shortest is about 45 minutes, an hour.
45 minutes? That's amazing. That's got to be some kind of record.
Yeah, it was just a couple that were just really happy and comfortable at home, waited at home and progressed, and then called and said, we're in a hospital, on our way to hospital because I think things are hotting up, and they did.
Yeah.
And that was it, and I stayed, saw the birth, and then helped them with some breastfeeding, and then went home. It was
all in a day's work.
All in a day's work. But yeah, I mean, there's no point at which a doula will say, sorry, I've got to go now. But we all support each other, and I work alongside Louise Atkinson, and if in any circumstance either of us were completely exhausted, we'd talk to each other throughout, and we could or would, we haven't actually had to do this, but we would give each other a break.
Yeah, if you need to.
If we needed to. But we honestly, we get really high on adrenaline. We run, you know, I often don't eat, and I like eating. So it's normally a big part of my day, but I sometimes I get home and I think, gosh, I haven't anything to eat.
Yeah.
But I'm just
running on the adrenaline. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing, Nicky. We're going to do a quick fire round now. Okay, your one piece of advice for first-time mummies.
Take some education. Be informed, and you know, shop around, find a team that supports you and the kind of birth that you want. There are some amazing obstetricians here in Dubai. There's one that fits everybody. And you know, different personalities, and you know, doctors, obstetricians with different opinions. Find somebody that's going to listen to you, that you know you click with and feel comfortable with.
Yeah,
and
it's about chemistry, isn't it?
Chemistry, and it will feel right, and you'll know it's right for you.
Yeah.
In which case it is.
One thing you've learnt about yourself after becoming a mum.
Gosh, trying to think. One thing I've thought about myself. How strong women are, quite honestly, and how we can keep going. You know, I for a while I had three children under 3.
Wow.
And you know, I lived in the UK when I had 4 kids, and I worked as well part-time from home, and yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I brought 4 kids up. They're all pretty normal. All happy and successful.
Happy is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see this, you know, with the mums that I see in my job, you know, how incredibly strong women are.
Yeah.
And we're good at multitasking.
Just naturally.
Naturally.
Yeah. We are. Our brains are just wired differently.
Yeah.
What's one thing you wished you had been warned about before becoming a mum?
Not having a lot of time for myself. Not that I resented it in any way, but I think that's again something I tell all my mums to make time for yourself, even if it's half an hour a day just to go and have a bath. I don't think I got that, because I did have my first 3 very close together. I really didn't have much time for myself, and you lose yourself a little bit. And you know, and so funny now, after 28 years, all my children have left home, and it's just myself and my husband. So we've been married for almost 31 years, but most of those years have been taken up with kids, and so now it's just us. So make time for yourself, make time for your relationships, your marriage, because it's nice. And actually, we're quite enjoying it now.
Oh,
Sorry,
bet.
Josh.
No, it's the same as my mum.
Yeah.
You know, we're not at home anymore, and she's getting to have her own life.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, it's something I really dreaded, and the year before my youngest son left home, I was really, really very anxious about it, and wondered how it was going to be. But, you know, my husband and I loved our years bringing up kids. It was something we really, really cherished. And we spend many an evening watching home videos of the kids when they're little. Now they've left home. But it's something, you know, like your life changes when you have children, but then there is another bit of your life which I'm now enjoying, actually.
Yeah. And also I'm sort of always telling myself, enjoy this time as well, in your pregnancy, because don't wish it away.
Don't wish it away.
It's lovely to be excited, but enjoy this time now of just being you and your husband, and being able to just do whatever you want when you want.
And then also don't wish a day away when they're little.
Yeah.
Because you do, and you
will
will
get that time back as well.
I can remember telling my children it was bedtime when we had blackout curtains. I used to pull the blackout curtains and tell them it was time for bed at about 5:30 because I could take no more. And now I regret that. But no, life goes so quickly, and you look back and, you know, say as a mum now with having all of her children left home, I look back and think, gosh, how lovely, I wish I'd taken it a bit slower.
Yeah.
Although we did appreciate it at the time. You probably don't appreciate it as much as you should do.
That's life though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just all goes too quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's hard to sometimes just be present. We're always thinking about the next thing. What's your favourite thing about being a mum?
Oh, one of my favourite things is seeing all of my kids together. That's the most heartwarming thing, to see the relationship that they've got. They're all really close. In fact, at the moment, my eldest son lives in the UK, and my youngest son is at university in the UK. My second son is moving back next month to the UK after living here in Dubai, and they're all so excited about being together, and I find that incredibly heartwarming.
Yeah.
And to see them grow up into lovely, confident, happy adults. As parents, that's what we want more than anything. Yeah. And my daughter lives in Australia, which is I'm so proud of her. She's a midwife, as I said, and we bring our kids up to be confident enough to follow the path that they want to go on. And to watch that and to see that happening is incredible. You go through these tough years when they're teenagers, never thinking that it's going to end. But I'm now at a really lovely stage. One of my sons is getting married next year, and who knows, I may be a grandma one day. Enjoy every stage.
You'll be an amazing grandma.
I can't wait.
A doula grandma.
A doula grandma.
That's the dream.
Yeah. I'm not sure any of them want me to be their doula, mind you. But,
I'm sure. Well, your daughter for sure, and then your son's wife's girlfriend. Yeah. I'm sure they will feel so lucky.
Well, it's hard not really to pick up on my contagious enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So hopefully they've picked up some of it along the way.
I'm sure they will. Okay, final question, Nicky. What does motherhood mean to you in 3 words?
Oh, happiness. Completion. And fulfillment. They're kind of the same thing, aren't they? Fulfillment and completion. But no, I feel completely fulfilled in my life. Yeah. And I'm not sure many people can say that. I feel very, very lucky, having had a wonderful family of my own, and now going on and helping other families as well. So yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Nicky, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to put all your details in the show notes so people know how to contact you, and I've already had your lovely doula partner Louise on the podcast as well, so I'll include both your details in both your episodes so people know how to reach out to you.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I am praying that you can be my doula.
I'm sure I will.
It's literally top of my baby priority list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Any item or
all this
anything.
Paraphernalia you can buy, and we get wowed into buying all this incredible stuff, but actually you've actually got most of what you need on your body.
Yeah.
But to have the support is what we need as well.
Oh, Nicky, thank you
so
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you once again to Nicky for her time and expertise. You can find links to Nicky's social pages, website, and contact details in the show notes below. If you'd like to find out who my guests will be on the next episode of Bumps and Babies, please do follow us on Instagram @LifeSchoolME, where you can keep up to date with all our news and find information on all our amazing guests. And finally, I would be so grateful if you could show some love and please rate, review, and subscribe to Life School ME the podcast to help us reach and hopefully inspire more listeners. Thank you for listening to Life School. Conversations to inspire action.